Have you stressed? Need to laugh off that disaster of a parent-teacher conference? Ready to indulge in those I wish I could say that moments? You're in luck, because you've just pressed play on the top-rated teacher comedy podcast on the planet. It's time for Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers. Here's your host, the teacher comedian himself, Devin Siebold.
Hey-o, how's everybody doing? We are on the airwaves, I guess you would say. I don't know what podcast calls it. Downloads. We're on the downloads.
No, we're riding the internet waves.
Something like
surfing. Well, we're not surfers.
We're out of the lingo.
Yeah.
We're out of the lingo. But we are also on YouTube. You can go ahead and watch this if you want to. Let me move my stuff just so people can see me here. All right. So anyways, we got everything kind of set up. It's beautiful. Yeah. So if you want to watch, you can go to YouTube, my YouTube page. There's Crying in My Car visuals of what you're listening to right now if you're listening to the podcast. It's pretty cool.
Speaking of lingos, we are Gucci.
Didn't never say that in my office ever again.
I've been saying it a lot just because younger people look at me and they're like, what? And it just makes me feel, it's kind of like whenever I was a kid and the first time I ever said rad, like that's so rad. And people look over like, cool.
Makes
kid.
you feel good, right?
Yeah. So when I say Gucci, I'm just saying it just because like Angelina's kids will look at me and they're like,
you would get laughed out of the classroom, just so you know.
That's fine.
It's like 5 years ago. You know what else will make you feel good? A subscription to our Patreon, patreon.com/cryinginmycar. It is only $2.99. You can pay for the whole year up front. And don't forget also that you get a lot of freebies. So you get some extra episodes. You also get advanced viewing of my videos. You get announcements of new shows, opportunities to buy tickets, which, by the way, I'm kidding. I kid you not. We got a big announcement with shows coming up. Big announcement. You're going to want tickets to this stuff first. And then also, we had to move the teacher Zoom show. It is on, and it will not move for. It is now on May 21st. And your first month or whatever that you're a Patreon and all existing Patreons for this particular month get the ticket for free. It's normally $10, so it's $2.99. And guess what? You can subscribe and pay the $2.99. Watch Teacher Zoom show and then unsubscribe. That's fine. I don't care. If you want to, just pay the $2.99 to watch the Teacher Zoom show, that's fine. Now we have a pretty cool Teacher Zoom show. I've got Helen Keeney. She is on QVC. So if you're a QVC watcher, she's actually on there full time. And she's a comedian. She's amazing. Also, we have David Grenier. David Grenier, he's the psychological comic, the mental health comic. He actually does a lot of shows for a lot of money. And I've been friends with him for a while. And he said he would do this one. And I've been trying to get him on one of these Zoom shows for a while. And he will be there. Now, Greg, speaking of mental health, I don't know if you're all there, buddy. I don't know if you thought things through. So right before the show, we were talking, and Greg said he ordered some golf balls because we play golf. I like to play golf. I've been more into golf lately. And Greg put the Angry Texan Comedian, I Hate People, on the side of his golf ball. Now, I have played with Greg. And the last thing that Greg should have is something with his identifiable information on it out on the course where he consistently shanks them into windows and pool awnings.
I've never hit anybody. Mike Lee has twice.
He's hit people?
Yes, man. And Mike Lee, like that time, you remember the famous golf time where we all, like me, you, and Mike, and who was with
I don't
Stubby Arms.
Zach. Yeah.
Whenever
we're
Mike,
all good friends, by the way. If you can,
we are. Mike Lee hits that horrible slice, and it's going right at those people. And I was like, Mike, are you going to say 4? And he goes, four.
Did it hit him though?
It got close, remember? And then how funny that was. He walked toward me and I said, dude, if that big dude comes over here and is like, who's hit this? I said, you better keep stuttering. Sorry.
Because
Because that was so funny.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, he came close, and I've never actually came close to hitting somebody. I remember when I was 16, I was playing on the municipal golf course in Melbourne, Florida, and there was a par 3 that I hit straight up in the air, and it was coming down on somebody. And I do remember I had to yell for for him to move out of the way, and luckily it stopped short of the guy because this is the funny thing I've noticed. This is so funny. When you yell for, it means that the ball is coming your direction right now. Everyone, when you yell for, instantly.
Ducks.
No, I've seen it. This not the times that I've seen it. When I've heard people yell for, I see them turn and look directly at the direction that you're yelling for. They're like, "What did he just say?" I mean, like, you're literally putting your face every time somebody's yelled for at me. I run for cover.
Yeah, that's because when I yell for like, please take cover. It's like yours for. I've heard your for. You're like, what?
Yeah, I know.
Like yours is kind of like
it's
like,
all aboard.
Yeah, kind of like an all aboard thing. Mine's like, for, and
screaming.
People are like, oh my gosh, incoming.
Right.
And it's funny when I say it because I'll look in 360-degree direction. And even the people behind me are taking cover.
Well, that's the way it is, I suppose.
No, Mike Lee at Willowbrook, whenever I was doing the little bachelor golf thing at my first failed marriage, only failed marriage.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to be another one. Mike Lee hit one. These old people, I guess, in front of us, kind of their cart kind of came off to the side, so they weren't too far out of our hitting range, but. This lady's just sitting in the cart. Mike Lee hits this scream. I don't know how he hit it, but it went down the cart path and then over, but it was still up like 2 inches off the ground, and it hits this cart hard
wow.
with the lady in it looking this way. Goes bam! It was so loud, and she just looked, and then like her husband was looking like they were looking like, how dare you?
Right.
And Mike's, instead of saying for, which he didn't have a chance because by the time he hit it, it was already almost there. And he goes, did we get you?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
to this day, I still I honestly was like, man, if the ball had moved maybe just a foot over, Mike Lee would probably still be in trouble for that. Yeah.
Now, I performed in Wisconsin. I did a run of shows in Wisconsin. Shout out to the teachers that came out. Funny story, though. There was quite a few funny stories throughout the entire thing. I had a teacher come up to me at my last show. And if you're listening, I love you. I thought it was hysterical. But she comes up to me, Greg, and she says, hey, I drove out here to see you. I love your teacher comedy. And I was like, oh, thanks. Cool. She goes, yeah. She goes, you wouldn't believe it, but I actually recreated one of your videos. And I said, oh, even better. That's awesome. And she goes, yeah, the spelling test prank one that you did that got you on Ellen. And I was like, oh, thanks. She was talking about Joe. She wasn't even at the right teacher comedian show. She was like, yeah, that spelling test prank one was so good. That was so funny. And I was like, thanks. And then I texted Joe. I said, hey, Joe, I said, this is what just happened. I said, by the way, I want to thank you for selling a ticket to my show because apparently people think I'm you now. But we look nothing alike. And Joe is gay, but I mean, very obviously so. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying it in a negative connotation. Right. I'm just saying that if you were to talk to both of us, you would say, oh, Joe is gay. I don't think I give off those vibes. But,
no, you don't.
Yeah, but
you're more like our buddy Jeff Klein, the comedian out of Tampa that's gay. But
he's gay, but he's
like hey, let's go watch football.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing that the dialect and mannerisms and stuff like that some people you can very obviously tell, but and that's fine.
My high school theater teacher, you would swear to God he was gay. But he's married to Miss Cody,
Andy
who we've
Dick.
had on the show. Same thing, you would think, but it's just I don't know what it is. People think I'm just awesome, but I just talk this way.
Yeah.
I can't help
Okay.
it.
That's debatable. But anyways, so Wisconsin was a fun trip. I loved Wisconsin. Cheese everywhere, dairy farms, middle of nowhere. I will say we started off the day. We went when we had a recurring thing, by the way, and I thought it was hysterical. It was myself and Miguel Colon Jr., which if you don't know who Miguel Colon Jr. is, you got to follow him online. Dude's hysterical. One of the funniest. I mean, I honestly put him in my top 3 of comedians of all time that I've ever encountered because he can sit in a room with nothing going on and make you cry laughing in 5 seconds. And it's amazing. It's an amazing talent he has, naturally funny. And as soon as we got off the plane, we were like, all right, let's go get some food. And we started to drive.
He's a big guy, too.
We started to drive and we passed the stadium where the Twins play. No, the Minnesota Vikings, the Vikings.
Oh,
sorry.
the Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings play. And it was so funny because we saw the stadium where the Vikings play. And I go, because we landed in Minneapolis. And I said, hey, man, I said, didn't you say you wanted to go to Mall of America? He's like, yeah, man, I want to go there so bad. He's like, it's something that I did when, I wanted to go when I was young. You see it on TV on Nickelodeon. They're giving away trips there. And I said, yeah, man, let's go. I think it's right around here. And I pull up the thing and it was like basically get off the exit, turn around. And it was like 2 minutes from the airport. So we turned around and we passed by the Vikings and I go, hey. I said, yeah, that's where the Vikings train. He's like, oh my God, I haven't seen that before. And then we go to the mall and we walk around the mall. It's just any mall. It's just it's a collection of every single store that every mall has. And Nickelodeon has a Nick Universe theme park in the middle.
It'd be like, you remember we had Walmart and then we had Super Walmart.
It's all it is.
It's just super mall.
It's 4 stories tall. It's huge. It's really cool. I mean, but there's nothing real special about it. All the stores are exactly the same as any mall.
Did you go through the entire thing? Because I hear it takes you all day.
Yeah, it would take you quite a while. The interesting thing is I was there with Joe.
It's the size of the Costco in Idiocracy.
Idiocracy, yeah, very close, very close. Welcome to the Mall of America. I love you. But it was it was a lot of fun. Here's the thing: we left and we passed by. On the way to the show, I go, oh my God. I said, you're not going to believe this, Miguel. There's where the Vikings are play. And he's like, oh my God, that's crazy. The Vikings play there. And then everywhere we went, I was like, I really hope we see where the Vikings play. I really wanted to see this. And then when we're driving to the airport, I said, oh my God, Miguel, I said, the Vikings play right there. And he's like, you are out of your mind. There's no way that's where the Vikings play. I said, I've heard stories of it. I haven't seen it. I said, but there's where the Vikings play.
Brett Favre was there for 2 seasons.
And this is so funny, dude, because we take off on the airplane and the whole plane's quiet. And I turn and Miguel's like 4 rows back. I go, Miguel. I said, look out the window. I said, I think the Vikings play there. And he's like, the Vikings? And I'm like, yeah, Miguel, it's unbelievable. And he's like, I've never seen that place. We literally passed by it 19 times where the Vikings play.
Now, from now on, if y'all have any connecting flights and like, oh, well, we're flying from Detroit to Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So, hey. We might get to see it.
Play. I've never seen this place.
You're at 32,000 feet and you're like, Miguel, see that little tiny speck down there? That's Minneapolis. Well, look a little south of
right?
it.
There's a big purple arena. That's it.
If you see any purple, that's got to be it.
It's got to be. But then we had another ongoing theme that I hope you'll get this reference. And I'm gonna lead you into it. And I want you to hopefully get this reference because Miguel got it right away. We're driving through these small towns, and every single small town had a tiny white church in the middle of a field. And it was just like cookie cutter, white church, steeple up top. And as soon as we passed it, I would start humming this solo. What solo am I humming? A guitar solo, epic guitar solo. Tiny white church in a field.
Oh, you're doing November Rain.
Yeah. So
boy.
literally every town we pulled into, we'd see the church, and I'd go. And we literally do the solo passing by it. Must have done it 900 times. Every town had that tiny white church.
I do the wake up scene every morning.
No,
Where I'm waking up next to the bed and I'm grabbing like my 20 bottles of pills, and I don't have any alcohol on my nightstand, but I am Axl Rose every morning I wake up. I'm
right.
Like, let me take these pills. Because remember that in the because if you go back and dissect that video, you're like, oh well, I mean, if we could have foreshadowed, I'm sure he still gets up every morning like that. He's like, oh, this is like the November Rain video. And he's probably doing more than that. He's probably getting up and he's probably got a walker.
Right.
Because he hurts his legs a lot.
I'm sure. Now, we performed in Hillsdale, Wisconsin at the Enchanted Barn and the Shanty Room, which is where we stayed. The Grand Shanty, sorry. And this, I'm telling you, one of the top venues I've ever performed at. And it wasn't even like the size. It probably had 120 people there. Electric crowd. I mean, Miguel, he got off stage and he looks at me and goes, maybe you'll get them. And I mean, because they were just crying, laughing, and we were just joking the whole time about how fun that room was. Great people, amazing experience. The owner of it, his name was Lauren. He was a cool dude. He kept, though, I thought it was so funny. As soon as we get there, he's like, yeah, a lot of comics come through. Dusty Slay came through here. Dusty Slay performed here.
Isn't that the dude from American Idol or
no? Dusty Slay. Dusty Slay is actually long hair, trucker hat, glasses. He's a comedian out of Nashville, I believe. He's performed in Side Splitters in Tampa. He's all over. Very popular. Coming up, you'll hear his name. If you've never heard of him, you'll hear his name shortly.
I've heard his name.
Yeah. So, anyways, he kept going. He goes, Dusty Slay performed here, and everything, by the way, was relating to Dusty Slay. We would literally, we took the stage and he's like, Dusty crushed here. And I'm like, that's awesome. And he's like, this is the microphone Dusty Slay used. And you're staying, Dusty Slay stayed in this room, but you're staying over in this room. I'm like, okay, great. And he's like, Dusty Slay, talked about this on the podcast and Dusty Slay. And then he said, Dusty Slay also, I took him to see the Amish. And he talked about it. He said it was the greatest thing in the entire world. So the next morning, he goes, "Do you want to go get breakfast? No, a place just around the corner." Which, by the way, just around the corner in Hillsdale, Wisconsin, is 45 minutes apparently.
I was going to say, was the breakfast place called Dusty Slay's?
No. And so we are on our way to this place. He goes, "Do you guys have a minute?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And we pull into this like a shack, and we walk in. And he goes, "This is an Amish convenience store. By the way, no lights on. And there's an old man in there." And he goes, I've been here a while. I don't know if they're open." Just an old man standing in the middle of the convenience store. There's no lights on, so you don't know. There's no credit card machines, no nothing. It's cash only. There's wood on a fire because it's like 30 degrees out. And it's just an Amish convenience store. But the funny thing is that none of it was Amish stuff. Like there was some Amish things, but like Miguel was making fun of it. He goes, "Ooh," he goes, "Look, the great Amish farmer, Chef Boyardee."
It's like, oh, look, convenient. I got these USB cords that I can plug into my phone,
But teachers, you will be happy to know that the Amish had literally a box of World's Finest chocolate. They were fundraising. And I was like, wow, interesting. They had a box of World's Finest chocolate sitting on the counter. And and then the Amish guy came out and he was, I mean, it's interesting to see families that just don't live off of modern amenities.
Brother Ezekiah.
I mean, it looked just like, Ezekiel, the names that they have the olden kind of vibe.
The Mennonites are a little different. They used to come down to Cypress Gardens. Mike and I were doing the
these
show.
Were pure.
Yeah.
I mean, no electricity, no modern amenities, no nothing.
Look, I've seen Kingpin. I know how this goes down.
Yeah, but it was pretty cool. But he was like, you guys see this? But the funny thing is Lauren was like, "This guy's Amish." and like we, like point. He's like, look at his hat. I'm like, yeah, look at this. He goes, he made that stuff, and I'm like, yeah. He goes, there's no electricity in here. I'm like, yeah, it's Amish, and he's like, yeah, but like. Look at him. And he was like putting wood on the fire. He goes, what gonna put wood on the fire? I was like, he's putting wood on the fire.
Wow.
Like it was, and I fully expected him to go, show us your home and like take us inside. Look at his wife. There's his children.
Look at the beard on her face.
they have nothing, Kevin. They have nothing. Look at this. How awesome is this? And I mean, he was showcasing them on full display, and it was so funny. And then we went to eat. We went to eat breakfast. We walked into this little tiny place in the middle of nowhere. And first off, let me tell you, you walk into those places, you know you're getting good food. We sat down. It was moderately busy. There was one or two tables open. We sat down. There was one woman working there, Greg. This is not just waiting tables. She was cooking and cleaning and bussing. One single woman ran the entire restaurant.
And I'm bitching about being short-staffed.
Yeah, she looked at us. She looked at us and just walked up to her table, and she looked down. She goes, it's going to be a long while. And I was like, okay. Where else are we going to go? I mean, by the time we get 45 minutes over to the next town, we would have had food, here.
Let me go just around the corner to, watch the Vikings practice. And then I'll come back for breakfast.
So it was 20 minutes to get coffee. Then the place started to thin out. This is so funny, though. This is how small towns work. The guy that was working the car dealership across the street heard she was kind of bogged down and walked in and started serving coffee to everybody and refilling drinks and bussing tables. And then like his mom or her mom, somebody's mom came in. She was like 80 and she's walking around like, what would you like to eat? And taking orders. Everybody's chipping in. Very small town, man. It was cool. But literally he was in his outfit he was in his, stuff from across the street. He's like, yeah, I heard she was kind of bogged down. So I just shut down the car dealership and walked across the street and just, helped out. And I was like, that's crazy, man. And literally that was, the mentality there. But I will say this, bro, ordered the biscuits and gravy. And that's when sausage comes out and you can tell it's literally pushed down with a hand. It's not like the perfectly round patties. Like it's somebody pushed it down because they just got it fresh off of a local farm. Bro, that's the breakfast. I mean, it was delicious. And it was inexpensive too, man. You go to these places, they're like $4, full breakfast and everything. It was awesome, man. So I don't know where we were. I don't know where we were eating. Cool town, wherever it was, near Hillsdale, Wisconsin. That's all I know. And that was a lot of fun. So, yep.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. You didn't do any more Amish experiences other than the convenience store?
No, we drove through an area that he pointed out where they were cutting wood for their little sheds they were building, Amish sheds and furniture and stuff like that. And by the way, they're onto something because lumber prices are like $4,000 for like a 2x4. So maybe they're in the right on this one. And but I will say this is so funny, dude. And Kate, if you're listening, I'm so sorry, but I just thought it was crazy because I don't know. This Amish woman had a horse and drawn buggy, and she was coming at us. She was one of the most beautiful women I'd ever seen.
Oh, wow.
And she was Amish. And Miguel even goes, what? And she was all in black, eyeglasses. It was very Lydia Dietz, like very Beetlejuice. But it was so, you don't expect, when Amish, you think rugged, like hard lives. And it shows, they don't have a very long life expectancy. They high infant mortality rate, things like that, but she looked like she didn't belong in terms of look like out of a movie. It looked like she was an imposter. But it was different. It was pretty cool.
I mean, you could look at her and say, man, she'd make a good wife one day. Yeah, she's going to also have a beard and mustache.
Well, that the hair thing is one thing. That's their own. I don't know.
I mean, you never know, man. She might I don't know what an Amish bikini looks like, but maybe she might have a hairy chest.
Oh
you never
my
know.
gosh. She might. So I don't know. You can get rid of that stuff. It's what's inside that counts, Greg.
Right.
Don't you learn any of these things? Goodness.
I mean,
and you're getting married? What's going on here, Greg?
Dude, you're the one talking about a hot Amish chick.
I just said she was pretty. That's all I said. I could say somebody's pretty. I don't say yes, she was pretty, except for, you know, the grizzly bear chest that she had. I didn't say any of that. You said that.
I know. I just didn't know.
All right.
Because they don't shave and stuff.
Let's jump into teachers in the news. How about that? Teachers in the news.
From classrooms to chaos, we searched high and low for the craziest teacher stories this week. Here are your teachers in the news.
We got a story of a 38-year-old teacher who is making $47,000 a year in Hawaii. Wow. Anyways, it says he was operating his dream business and he was making 75 grand. He had a dream business that hosted empowerment workshops at schools across the country. And that's great. Anyways, he left and said, I'm done. He left his school year teaching. He had been teaching from 2016 to 2020, and he built his own little company. And he decided that he was going to move to Hawaii. He only makes around $47,000 per year, and decides that he needed to live in Hawaii. He said apparently he's got student loans. He's got all this other stuff. He said that this is the thing, his typical budget. Now, I want you to tell you this. This is Hawaii. So it has his actual breakdown of his typical budget. His rent is $1,675 a month. He spends food $650 a month. That sounds kind of expensive, but that's Hawaii. It's a little harder to get, you know, certain foods out there. I'm sure,
unless you love spam.
Yeah. And then student loans, $586. His car's paid off, so his car costs are $194. His phone is $130. His gym is $85. That kind of shocked me. $85 a month for a gym membership. No, thank you. Anyways, he said his discretionary spending is low. He said life in Hawaii is expensive, and after paying rent and groceries and student loans, he doesn't have hardly any money left over. But this is the thing, man. Some of these people choose, you know, lifestyle over paycheck. And it says he has a minimalist lifestyle and loves just waking up, surfing. He lives a retirement style, you know, living there. And he said it's just all minimalism and enjoying Hawaii. So that's kind of cool, man. To see a teacher do that, who actually quit his job, started his own company, takes a minimal paycheck from that. It's impressive. I wish, honestly, though, I had a, you know, some teachers are like, yeah, but you have to start a company that actually is profitable. And I think there's a lot of teachers actually out there that have. A lot of teachers are kind of branching into new stuff. My latest video that I'm going to have, I partnered with Teacher Goals, which, by the way, if you don't follow Teacher Goals on Facebook and stuff, I have a video on why teachers are leaving the profession. And a lot of them, it's, you know, start their own company, find their own passions and stuff like that. Some are just fed up, but, you know, I'll talk about that later. I have a question for you, Greg, and this is an interesting question before I get into the next news thing. I've never asked you this, but if you were to start your own company, what would it be?
Oh, wow. There's a
like,
lot of
if
things
you were
that
interested,
but
if you were interested in just doing your own thing, not having to answer to anybody, and you had to start a business of some sort, what are you looking at? You know, any passion that you have, any passion project or something?
I mean, yeah, I'd like to have a shop of some kind where, you know, I sell sports stuff and, you know, something that brings joy in
Cowboys only.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess I could do some stuff like that. Golf memorabilia, you know, just, I don't know. I just always picture myself, if I did have my own business, it would be like a bar,
right?
Or like maybe just a sports shop, you know, where you can get your baseball cards there, you know, get gloves for Timmy for Little League season coming up, that kind of stuff. And if we don't have it, I can order it.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm interested. I think in the same vein, I love sports cards, as you know. I would love to have my own sports card shop, but the thing is it's such a volatile market where it's so hot, so cold, so hot, so cold, you know, and it's like for years it's cold, and then it's hot for like 2 years, and then it's really cold for 2 years, and then it's really hot. And I mean, that would just be hard to make a living off of. of, if you don't know, hey, we're making $20,000 a month, yay, and then the next month you're like, yay, we lost $3,000. It's like, okay, but I love the sports card and seeing kids open cards for the first time and getting that big autograph or that big hit, and seeing dads and sons connecting, and moms and sons connecting, and dads and daughters and moms and daughters, seeing people come into the shop, I think would be pretty cool. I think it'd be cool to own something like that. My buddy actually started his own shop and he loves it. All right. This next one. Interesting question. And I will answer it two ways. I will give my opinion on this. Can a teacher fly a Black Lives Matter flag at school? A Florida court will consider. Now, this is at the school that they are apparently teaching at, which, by the way, just so happens to be Robert E. Lee High School, where students were segregated previously only until 1972. It was a whites-only school until 1972. The school colors are blue and gray because they're the colors of the Confederacy, and its sports teams are called the Generals. Anyways, a teacher there has decided that they want to fly a Black Lives Matter flag outside of her classroom to mark it as a safe space for students, and especially since one of her a former member of the evac movement, Reginald Boston, was killed by Jacksonville sheriff's officers, and she decided to hang that outside. The Supreme Court is going to have to decide on that. Most likely the state Supreme Court first, and then it would go on to the regular Supreme Court. What do you think that this is,
I think it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I personally support Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the injustice. I have a buddy of mine who's got dreadlocks, black guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never been pulled over in my Mustang ever, not from speeding, not from anything. But the one day I had the top down, I had my buddy with me. Cop follows me.
Oh yeah,
and then I didn't come to a complete stop, so he flashes me.
It's always the little things,
and it's crazy because. And, he came up and asked us for our IDs, and we gave him, and he was like, I was like, hey, what'd I do? He's like, well, you didn't come to a complete stop at that stop sign. And I was like, oh, okay. Sorry, there's no one coming. He goes, oh, well, be careful next time. I'm like, wow, like that's bull crap. I know.
Oh yeah.
I'm not an idiot.
Right.
And I just, and we're in the movement that's going on in the country. There's two sides to it. Everybody's like, all the plazas are being renamed that and everything. And I'm fine with that. Then there's the people that are like, oh no, it's a terrorist organization. It's just like any other organization. There's going to be some bad people mixed into it. What's the sad misconception is most people think that Black Lives Matter are the people that are behind all the riots.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's right out. I think Black Lives Matter has a chance this year and during this presidency to really step up and become bigger than what it is. And really, they have that opportunity to educate.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as we can get the education part out and shut up people that are idiots on Fox News who try to, throw out the little conspiracies and like, oh, well, Black Lives Matter. Well, this guy's a Black Lives Matter and he got caught throwing a brick through a window. And that's not what it's about. It's about equality for some people that are sick and effing tired of discrimination. And by God, they deserve it.
Yeah. And I think you're on the right track. I also, the only counter argument I'll give to this is, Black Lives Matter is a true statement. It's a factual statement. Their lives matter. That's all it is. It's on the surface, it's a statement, but it's become politicized by people that are anti Black Lives Matter. And it's become so hardly politicized that it's almost a political statement. And I don't think political statements need to be in schools. There's no, you wouldn't want to fly a flag in support of a particular politician or against another politician. But this is, in particular, something that is viewed one way by one side, viewed the other way by the other side. And I don't think that the other sides are ever going to see it the way that the sides you're on sees it. And that's the problem, is it's just going to be an interesting dilemma. I think that it should be allowed to be flown, especially in a school that is 70% black. You know, they need to know they're welcome there, and appreciated.
If you can fly your stupid, and I'm sorry, you know how I feel about police.
Mm-hmm.
If you can fly your stupid Blue Lives Matter flag, you can fly a Black Lives Matter flag. And my thing is, and this is what it used to be, and if there's any police officers or teachers that are married to police officers, you can send your hate mail to me all day, because I've got great stories I can tell you. I believe in the past, I come from a really rural, small town where if you got a speeding ticket, that cop might call your dad that night and be like, "Hey, I gave your kid a ticket," you know, and you get home and your dad already knows about it. That's, you know, those were the good old boy cops. And that's back when it was like all cops are good. There's just a few bad. Today's time and standard, I'm sorry. And America, I'm looking you right in the eye. I think all cops are bad, and there's a few good ones out there. And if I'm wrong, prove me wrong.
I can't necessarily agree with you on that, but I know what you've been through. So I do agree with you on that, because I know that your experience with cops has been entirely negative and very much a one-sided deal. I've had one negative experience with a police officer. The rest have been pretty positive. I have some previous students that have decided to become police, and I know that they're good people. I don't know, you know, if the job changed. Sometimes people say the power gets to you, like Schmeagol, you know, putting on the ring, you know, and maybe that's true. There is a sort of power trip that comes along with it that a lot of police officers have. The only thing that I always constantly say this is I do appreciate police officers quite a bit. When I start to think about, you know, if somebody walked into this building right now, they're in right now, and started shooting it up, and they told me outside, they handed me a gun and said, "Go get him," I would say, no, I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm because I'm fearful. Cops don't hesitate, you know, on that kind of stuff. Some of these situations, some of these places that people are even scared to drive through, you know, that's where they work. You know, that's their life. And they go into these places that 90% of the people in these neighborhoods hate them and want them dead. And yet they put on that badge, you know, got families back home and go ahead and go, you know what, I'm going to go out there and protect the people. And like you said, there are some very, very good cops out there that go into this with the right frame of mind. There are a lot of
It's all about leadership, though. You've got to have good leadership. For instance, everybody is all about our sheriff in this county. I knew you were going to talk about But here's my question.
It's Sheriff Grady Judd, by the way. You know him nationally. Just Google him.
Here's my question.
He's made some very controversial statements.
Things that you don't know about him. The guy has a 30-foot conference table at his office that he gets all of his people around, and they discuss what. There is a gigantic picture of him on his own coffee table. There is no less than 30 photos of him in his office building, giant photos.
Where did I send you the pictures of Grady Judd at?
I don't remember. He's the most narcissistic human being I've ever personally met.
I'm not going to lie, you know, whether you like him or not, that man has an ego problem.
Jesus. And if he becomes governor, I'm out.
You don't live here. Literally, his face is everywhere. And it's forced on you by him. I mean, like, everything is signed Grady Judd, this and that Grady Judd. And yes, teachers, I know this is a teacher podcast, so I do want to circle back to the teachers. It is kind of frustrating because he does have his hand in all things teachers in terms of wanting guardianship, and he wants to oversee the teacher guardian gun program and put guns in schools. Guns belong here. Loves guns and wants them in school in hands of guardians that are making same amount as teachers and are not as well trained as police officers, by the way, and yet he wants them around children with guns. I don't agree with that. And but like I said, as teachers, also most of us have school resource officers in the schools too, and we know that generally they're pretty good people, and they're very fair and very unbiased, and they're there to keep the peace, and they make it a better environment. environment. And that's, there's times we can't handle it as teachers and they have to step in. And, I'm thankful for those particular times. So, our life experiences definitely, kind of paved our view. And my life experience has been a little different than yours. And I understand where you're coming from.
Oh, absolutely. Like, don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of good cops out there. Like, there's cops that they treat their job, like it's part of their life. Like, they're going to be good people outside the job too. But after that election, bro, and some of the cops that I know in my hometown in Florida, the stuff I read them say, I'm like, really? We're letting you walk around the streets with a gun? And you're like, F immigrants and F this, that, and the other. I said, those are the people, regardless if they're immigrants, illegal or not, you are sworn to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if anybody in Florida knows Officer Angela Pruitt,
why are you don't do not
tell
do
her
that.
I said hi, and then I'm doing quite well.
Yeah, thanks. Goodness, gonna get me canceled, and I just signed a sponsorship deal. Anyways, all right, let's go ahead and go into the last one. A retired Colorado teacher is in the business. Teachers, I always get this asked, how do I make money on the side? Apparently this Colorado teacher has found it. It's pretty impressive. Apparently this teacher put their pool for rent in 2019 and had only one reservation. People were not going to rent the pool because they didn't, it's just, you're renting a pool out. Literally, you just say, hey, you got the pool from 5 in the afternoon to 7 in the evening, and just walk around the screen door. It's yours, and you close all the blinds. They can just have fun in the pool, play in the pool, bring the kids. It doesn't sound like it's a good business plan, but then the pandemic hit, and people didn't want to go to public pools. People still wanted to swim and enjoy themselves in a clean, safe environment. This person apparently this past 6 months has made $50,000, had over 500 pool reservations, family events, pool practice for sports, and even a shoot for a music video. They will sometimes book an hour. Sometimes they will book 8 hours. They have full access to the pool and can barbecue at the outdoor kitchen and sit around the fire pit, and has made in 5 months, actually, $50,000. So teachers, if you have a pool, apparently you can rent it out. I did not know that was a thing, but apparently it is. Now, let me see. I'm trying to find if what's the, he actually has a website for renting it out. Splash Fork Pool, Gill and Ground. So let me see what it looks like, I just want to see what the pool looks like.
Like I'm here for the 5:30 Marco Polo.
Dude, it's just a regular pool.
Yeah.
It's a nice backyard, though. I'm telling you, man, this person went all in, though.
Where can I put the DJ?
He actually has a full menu, and I'm going to show this on our StreamYard online, but I'll read it to you guys, too. This is pretty impressive, actually. A full menu of stuff that you can drink, eat. Angus cheeseburger, $3. Chicken sandwiches, $3. Philly cheesesteak, $3. Organic bean and rice and cheese burrito.
Does he have a vendor's license?
Drinks, alcohol. I don't know. I don't know if he has a vendor's license, but I'm sure. I mean, this person has thought it all out. To have graphic designs. What kills me is
they got the pop right there, the red, white, and blue. He's got the public pool going on.
Yeah,
when you got that means you have a legit public pool.
But here's the thing: he even has his own logo for renting out his personal pool in the bottom right hand corner. The Splash Fork Pool, Grill, and Pool, Grill, and Grounds.
Dude, but look, that's how Valdosta Wild Adventure started. It started as just three animals that they displayed at a little tiny petting zoo kind of thing.
It is pretty impressive, though. But look at this; it's just a pool. But here's the thing: this is how crazy this is. He actually has. Look at that fork. He's got his own logo on top. I mean, when you're making $50,000 in 5 months, I guess you can spruce it up. but there's people playing in the pool. That's their pool. They rented it out.
There's a basketball goal there.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of, with the slide, I kind of want to rent it out myself.
Look at the basketball goal. Go back to that last picture,
dude. $45 per hour.
There's no net, but I mean, still, dude.
No, there's a net. You can see it.
Oh, okay.
It's just it's a little bit foggy, but $45 per hour, $60 per hour on weekends, 1 through 5 people, and then 25% of multiple bookings. So you can actually do 20% off for 10 bookings, $5 extra per person per hour over 5 people, liability waivers. This is pretty impressive. So if you have a pool, apparently this is the way to go. And they have a cancellation list, upcoming pool availability. Let's try to book it. Let's see what we got here for this. And this is a teacher that did it. So they are available Friday, May 28th, and then June 28th, July 5th. July 5th would be a good one. The day after July 4th. You know, you could just postpone your celebration till the next day. But yeah, that's pretty impressive. It doesn't look like they have a lot of availability though. I mean, that's I don't know. That's pretty cool. Honestly, I live in an apartment complex with a really nice pool, and it says we can bring guests. So I'm thinking I rent out their pool. And then I just, these are my guests, you know, this is my family.
I'm guest of Devin's for $385 for the next 3 hours.
Right. Oh, by the way, nobody else can come in here. They just put chlorine in it. You got to really sell it. So yeah, pretty cool. I don't know. Anyways. Yeah. So this has been a long kind of broadcast, but thank you all for subscribing. Now I want to quickly mention where I'm going to be. Do you have any shows coming up?
No, sir. I have new episodes of Made in America, where the next episode, we're going to be talking about one of our all-time favorites. If you were a kid, there were 2 things you did in the morning: cartoons and Searle. And what did you do when you got that Searle? You stared at the back of the box and read that. We're going to talk about that on Made in America. Yeah,
Made in America, Murica. You can search for it on the iTunes podcasting, also on Google Play. Made in America. You'll see Greg's big ugly face up on there, and he's
in a bowl of cereal.
Yeah. So that episode, I'm on it, and Greg is the host, and it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of jokes and stuff on there.
Talk a little bit more about your trip to Wisconsin.
Yeah, we do detail a lot more about the trip to Wisconsin. I'm going to be in Richmond, Virginia, May 6th through 8th at the Sandman Comedy Club with Adam Ferrara. I'm going to be performing in Cocoa Beach on May 15th at Gregory's Comedy Club, Upstairs Comedy Club. I'm going to be also performing in Leesburg, Florida on June 5th, Leesburg, Florida. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then I have another room on June 11th in Orlando that I'm going to be performing at, and then Winter Park June 19th. Those are the in-person shows. Don't forget, it is the end of the year, and you may be wanting a Zoom show for your school. Nice little finale to the end of it. teacherzoomshow@gmail.com if you're interested in those. They're a ton of fun, and I appear live on your Zoom. I tell jokes, I interact with everybody. We have a great time. It's 30 minutes to an hour. It's up to you what you want. If you want professional development too, you're like, I could never sell this to admin. I do professional development as well, and it's a lot of fun. It's all comedy, all humor. Nice little stress relief for the end of the year. Can't stress this enough though. My schedule is packed in May with Zoom shows. Packed. I'm doing 3 today. And the reason is obviously end of the year. And a lot of people are trying to have that fun at the end of the year. So also devincomedy.com. I got some new teacher merch, a brand new teacher shirt that just went live yesterday, and it's almost sold out already. So check that out. And thanks again for tuning in to the podcast. Greg, say goodbye to everybody.
America, y'all have a good evening and an awesome weekend. See y'all soon.
Be sure to subscribe and rate this podcast 5 stars. Submit all your awesome teacher stories to cryinginmycar@gmail.com and check out Devin on tour. Info and merch can be found at devincomedy.com. Support the podcast on patreon.com/cryinginmycar and get exclusive weekly bonus episodes. And tune in every week for more hilarious stress relief for teachers right here on Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers.